Good morning and welcome to Intentional Pathways by Design, where we are talking everything relationships. I am so excited to be welcoming our guest today, Laura Armstrong, three-time world champion, leadership expert. Laura, welcome.
Thanks so much, Kimberly. I'm so excited to be here today and be a part of this conversation because I love, what you've got going on with intentional pathways, and I'm excited to get into it.
Absolutely. And we are so excited to learn from you today. So we have a quote, as always, because we want to get our featured guest expert feedback on it. We want to start some dialogue. So when we're sharing these quotes, if you want to dive in and start down in the chat and chatting with us, we would love for you to do that. So our quote today: consistent alignment of capabilities and internal processes with the customer value proposition is the core of any strategy execution. Robert S. Kaplan. What are your thoughts, Laura?
It's interesting that you picked that quote because I work into corporate more, like I have my leadership business, but I also take that into corporate. So I work leadership communication and then I mold it to corporate. And how I work in corporate is to create an exceptional customer experience, right? And the thing that you can look at, corporate is a good example of reflecting on our entrepreneurship and our customer alignment, right? Mm-hmm. A lot of the older companies are harder to deal with because they've got those processes already in place and they're almost too big to be looking at how to constantly be updating that customer service, that customer proposition, because they've got themselves set. It's almost like they've locked themselves into what they have and that's all they're ever going to have. But if you look at startups or entrepreneurs, they're always realigning what their customer needs and that whole process. If you look at startup companies, especially, they've got it, right? They know that the exceptional customer experience is an ongoing, living, breathing thing on every single level of the company, from the top right down to customer service. And I think what we see a lot of the time is, if you, like, for instance, you call your cell phone company, you get a customer service person. That customer service person should be tied to at least the salesperson.
Yes.
Right? So, but you as an entrepreneur, you're doing it all, right? And so, realigning and knowing what your avatar, and I'm sure you've talked about this in previous sessions, and who your ideal customer is going to allow you to not only create something that is going to hit your target market, but also that's going to make sure that you're in alignment with that. And when that customer or your offer changes, that you shift with that.
Mm-hmm. Excellent. Excellent. And we're going to dive more into this. So if you do not have that unique value proposition, when you walk away from this conversation, you are going to learn what you need to start creating one. So Laura, for all of us that may not know what a UVP is, can you define that for us?
Yeah, for sure. I struggled around many years, like trying to figure out what I was doing, and I was doing stuff, right? Like I had a lot of expertise, but it wasn't focused, right? And, whenever you start a business or you join an MLM or direct sales, it doesn't matter what it is. They tell you the first thing is, what is your why? Well, your why is because I love to do it, or whatever your reason is. Mm-hmm. And that's great. And it's good to go back to that and have that as a part of who you are. But can you go into, let's say, a networking group where you're trying to create referrals or, boost your business, or just even for yourself, know really clearly why you're doing what you're doing and who am I serving, right? And the answer most of the time is no. Mm-hmm. So the unique value proposition allows you to narrow it, get really clear and succinct about what it is that you offer so that you can actually dialogue with people about that. And the beauty of a UVP is it's connected to your why, and it's connected to your mission and your vision and absolutely everything that you do. Because once you get clear on that, you'll know when something doesn't align with you.
And
You'll know.
isn't that so important, Laura, when we are entrepreneurs, because we sometimes can get caught up in that shiny object syndrome. I know that I've been there.
Oh, me too. Yeah. Yeah, for sure. You know, and the other thing about that is it's going to also allow you to scale your business when you're ready. Right. So, and it may shift as you grow. That's okay. Because maybe your audience is shifting, but getting clear about it right from the beginning is like when I teach my students this, when I'm coaching them or whatever, or teaching my courses, we go over this and make sure they are solid on it. Right. So it's so important to growing your business from the basement up, because if you don't have a strong basement, you certainly can't build a house on top of it.
And isn't that so true? We need the foundation, not only in relationships, people,
Yeah.
but when we're talking about our business. So if this resonates with you, hit that like button, hit the subscribe button, get those comments in the feed, because we want to be a support. Laura is a terrific support to you. That's why she's here today. So Laura, now that we understand what a UVP is in layman's language, how can an entrepreneur, how can a business person start creating that UVP today?
Yeah, for sure. You know, it's easy to do. I'm going to go over the steps, but you said something really interesting there about relationships. And your UVP is actually connected to your relationships because it's connected to your life, right? It's your why. And your why is not just about your business. Your why is why you love your family, why you get up and take your kids to school every morning. This is all a part of it. So your why may be because my why is because I would like to retire out my husband. So that's involved in the relationship part of what I do, right? So when you're creating that why, make sure that it reverberates out into all the other parts of your life. Because if it's just your business, you're going to lose momentum because there has to be more. Right? Do we agree?
You know what? That is great. That is great. So not necessarily just thinking about it in terms of this conversation today,
right,
but expanding it out and growing it. So it sounds like your UVP is going to grow as your business grows.
That's right. Yeah. Beautiful.
Excellent.
Yeah. It's a beautiful thing. Right. And I remember when I first started doing this and I was like, oh my God, more work. Right. But the thing is, it really made me think, what do I want, Laura? Like, I really went deep about it. Right. Like, and so you don't have to do that. Like, if you know, but I really, cause I was all over the place, I needed to bring it in together. And I see that a lot of the time when I'm working with entrepreneurs, that they're all over the place, and it's not on purpose. They just like, I don't know how to bring it together. Right. And so this is going to allow you to do that. Okay. So the UVP is made up of the 4 parts. And the first part is the problem that you solve. Okay. So you're going to make a heading, problem I solve, and you're going to list all of the things, that are the problems that you solve for people. So maybe you help people who have money issues, who have self-confidence issues, who struggle to make ends meet, or are struggling with mental illness. Like, it doesn't matter what it is. Maybe they're struggling with losing weight, right? But make sure that when you're doing the problem part of it, that you're not doing the solution part of it. Right. So make sure that it's an actual problem. So I help people live the life they desire. No, that's not a problem. Right. So you have to figure out what the problem is that you solve. What is their pain point? Okay. So you make a list of that. That's the first part. The second part is your niche or your market. And a lot of people struggle with this. And so many times I hear, oh, it's everybody. Actually, it's not. And the longer you do your business, the more you're going to notice
Yeah.
the same type of person coming in over and over again. So for instance, you know, Kimberly, you work with a certain niche market,
Yes.
you know, so do I, right? And so it could be single moms over 40 who have two kids that are still in high school and they're looking to make a little extra money every week, right? Like, so that's really niched out. I
Mhm.
had one lady who sold insurance to people with disabilities.
I love
Great
that.
niche.
Oh,
Like,
wow.
yeah, so if you can really, so if you sell something like skincare or you offer a service, who are you serving, right? So really dig deep around that. So when you're selling skincare, a good example is like, well, it's for everybody. Well, I would focus on people who have really dry skin and struggle in the winter when
Mhm.
their skin starts to flake off,
Yeah, I
right?
agree. It's such an important point because I remember way back when I started out loving everybody.
Yeah,
And it's a
yeah,
growing, but how fortunate we are to have you here right now, just laying it out on the line so we don't have to go through those growing pains.
yeah,
We can start doing it today. We don't have to wait a year or 2 years. You just are
yeah.
making it so simple for us.
Awesome. Yeah, you know, it's just I love contributing to people and living in their greater self, right? I think we all have the possibility for that. It's just a matter of making different choices. And so if you're ready to make choices, then you're going to move ahead. If you're not, that's okay too.
Mhm.
Maybe you just need a bit more time, right? So the third part is the transformation that you offer. So we have the problem you solve, the niche or the market that you serve, and the third is the transformation that you offer. So when people come to you, what do they end up with? What can they get from working with you? Because really, if you're honest with yourself and you're working with customers, it's always going to be what's in it for them.
Mhm.
If you run your business like that, you will be super successful because it's never about you. It's always about them. They come to you for something.
Mhm.
So what is your
Absolutely.
something, right?
Oh, yes, yes. And it's so, so true. It's so true. But aren't there moments, right? We can kind of get sidetracked for a moment here before we move into the next point. But isn't it so true that it is often that we don't really even understand that?
Yeah, because you know, putting yourself first is always key. And a lot, you know, the way we've been brought up in society is we've been taught that's a selfish thing. It's not a selfish thing. If you can't function optimally, you certainly can't be helping people optimally. Think about it this way. Are you going to go to the psychologist who has issues in their relationships
No.
and their life, right? Or are you going to go to a life coach who's 20 and hasn't experienced life? Not that there's anything wrong with that, but for me, I want someone who's actually been there, done it, and is in the niche that they need to be, right? So taking care of yourself first is key, right? And then what happens when you're working with your customers is you know what you need, you know
Mhm.
where your boundaries are, and you can give them everything they want. And it's all about them because you already know that you're taking care of yourself.
Yes.
You
Yeah.
have to set it up like that. Otherwise, you're just going to get drained all the time. Like I'll give you, for instance, I have a lot of coaching clients, and I'm getting to the point where I'm going to have to start office hours where everybody can come. I can't do the one-on-ones anymore.
Mhm.
There's too many people and I just don't have enough time, right? And that's my solution, right? Because it's evolving. So how are you evolving? How
Yes.
is your transformation evolving for people? And are you making sure that when you're upping yourself in your business, you're also upping yourself in your self-care,
Thank you. Thank you.
right?
That's so, so important, right? Because going back to that selfish piece,
Yeah,
where, so often we're told, uh-oh, ladies, you have to be everything to everyone.
no.
Mm-mm.
It's okay to set boundaries and it's okay to have, let me put this way. It's okay to have boundaries and it's okay to have people that are disappointed, but you don't be disappointed.
Right.
Let them be disappointed and be okay with that. right?
Another good gem, another good
Yeah,
gem.
it's okay.
What's that fourth point, Laura?
Fourth point is the benefits of the transformation that you offer.
Mm,
So for instance, if you help people to live a richer, fuller life by teaching them how to invest in money so that they can buy the car of their dreams, have more, send their kids to college, like the benefits of whatever you are doing for the transformation. So for me, when I work with leaders and people who want better communication, I offer them the opportunity to deepen and grow their relationships and, build that money that they're looking for so that they can live the life they desire and earn the income they deserve. Right.
mm.
So all of those are benefits of the transformation that I offer them.
Fantastic, fantastic. And I think you covered this a little bit, but let's dive into it a little bit more. If you
Sure.
can peel back that onion, why is it important to have this powerful UVP? Why
Yeah.
is it important? So we're going through those steps and we're showing our customer, but why is it important for us to even think about it?
You're right. We talked a little bit about it, but what I just kind of want to reiterate is like the number one thing and is you are going to get clarity about what you offer, how you offer it, and why you offer it with your UVP. It's all in there, right?
Mhm.
And that's really what you need if you're going to move forward in your business. Because otherwise you're just going to, like, I have 4 businesses. Otherwise you're just going to be floating around out there, right? And
Mhm.
doing stuff here and doing stuff there, but never really, and people aren't sure what you do, right? Because you do different things, right? So it's going to give you clarity is the number one thing. And number 2, it's going to give your customers clarity.
Yeah, and it's so important, right? Because if they don't know what you do, then they're just going to be confused and they're not gonna.
A confused mind never buys. That's correct.
Yes, and been through that. So if you're listening and you're saying, hey, wait a second, I think I just solved my problem. I bet you did. We're talking about these foundational pieces of what we need for, like Laura used the metaphor of the house, for our house, and we are building a foundation. And so if there's something missing in the foundation, uh-oh, confusion can set in. And not because, let's talk about that for a moment. Not because it's not that you don't have something great to offer. It's just that even without knowing that, your customer is going to know that you don't have that foundation together.
Yeah, people aren't dumb, right? Like, and the other thing too is sometimes when we start a business, we get so passionate, it just freaks us out, right? Like, really, it does. Like, I got freaked out, right? Like, and I'm like, oh my God, and I'm like, bleh, all over people, right? And they're like, yeah, I try, like, I've built huge trust with a lot of people. So building trust is a major thing that you need to do in your business. But sometimes you get so excited that you kind of like, it's like fireworks going off. It's just all over the place, right? So this is going to allow you to stay in that excitement, but actually have real clarity about what you're going to talk about to people. And make sure when you're doing your UVP, talk about why you're great. Make sure you put that in there. I'm a 3-time world champion. What is your accomplishment?
So
important. I'm an expert networker. And I'm like, well, I want to talk to someone like that because I'm looking for referrals.
Yes,
Right.
absolutely.
So whatever. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I apologize. Did you have something else?
No, it's just like, and people are like, well, I'm not an expert at anything, or I'm not great at, I'm like, what have you done in your life that is exceptional? Everybody's done something. Right.
And, going back then, and if you're in that space where you're feeling like, hey, wait a second, like I am not feeling exceptional at anything, then it goes back up to the top, right? It goes up here, whereas you have to do some rewiring upstairs and say, of course you did. You're wonderful. And of course you have done so many things. Just doing that soul searching and that some key awareness skills, some mindfulness, and you usually can kind of connect into it. So Laura, can you give us three just straight out benefits to having clarity when it comes to your UP or to our UVP?
Yeah, sure. The first one is you're going to be the expert in your field and be seen as that. And the second is you become the trusted partner, right? Which is so key to developing those relationships that are not only going to drive business, but drive people to be better people by what you have to offer, right?
Fantastic.
And the third one I would say is, it's allowed me to be a lot of space for people and sit in a place of non-judgment. I'm clear about what I do. And if people aren't, that's okay. And because sometimes when they aren't, they feel defensive or they get angry. And then that can come back on you as their judgment coming on you. So I've gotten really clear about not accepting other people's judgment. And I think once you're clear about what your UVP is, the only thing that can change that is you. So if your UVP is rock solid, you will be rock solid, right?
Wow.
And all that stuff will just ding off you. Like it's just, when people start and they're just rude or whatever, or it's just not, a good fit. I'm just like, okay, well, that's an interesting point of view. Thank you for that. It's just, there's nothing there, right? I'm not reacting, right? It doesn't affect me. It takes a while to get to that place because you're so invested in your business. You want everyone else to be invested in it too. But sometimes it's just not the right fit for some people.
So beautifully put. And, when you were talking, I'm thinking of having my shield around me and just allowing the bullets to just kind of bounce off because you are connected to your why, your UVP, and all of those foundational pieces. Oh my gosh, Laura, absolutely amazing. And you know what, if you're listening, if you're tuning in, hopefully you have that pad of paper out, that pencil. We always talk about it, and you're writing in the comments and hitting that like button because that is so important. Laura, do you have anything else to share with us today?
Yeah, just know that you're enough. I think that's something that we struggle with as human beings on the relationship level that you talk about, Kimberly, but also on a very soul personal level. Right? You really have to believe that. And if you don't, take a look at the reasons why you don't believe that. And are those reasons really real, or there's something that someone's been telling you that your whole life, so you've decided to believe it. So really getting to the core of who you are and knowing that you're enough, no matter what anybody says, is really going to allow you to build your confidence, feel empowered, and in turn, give that to others.
And I love that. And, just from the many testimonies that I have for my life, even if you've come from a space where you've had challenges in regards to traumatic incident, you can too rewire the brain. You may have those moments where you kind of go, uh-oh, it's coming back. But I'm telling you, we're talking to a 3-time world champion, and you don't get to be a 3-time world champion without any bruises.
Oh my gosh. I have failed so many times. Like it used to be my middle name, right? And I remember I would never have won if I hadn't failed. Right. And sometimes I think when we win right away, or we have big wins, we don't appreciate the journey. And I'm not saying everybody has to fail, but it's part of life. It's going to happen. Right. And so don't look at it as a negative thing. Just say, okay, I did this. What do I need to do differently? And when I would get in the ring and I'd lose, and, I'd always come home with like silver or bronze, which is still great, but I always wanted gold. Right. And I'm like, what do I need to change? And then we would work on that. Right. And so you in your business, you're always crafting and working on that stuff. And, how can you be better? What can you do better? And it's just a process, and that reflects in your life, because if you're working on your business, you're working on your life. How can I be better as a person? It's all interconnected, right, Kimberly?
Yes, and there's no surprise that we have so many entrepreneurs
Right.
out there, so many new business owners, and it's so exciting because that just means that there's that many more people working on themselves. Absolutely love it. Laura, how can people find you?
Sure. Yeah. You can check me out at leadershipwithlaura.com and make sure that you register for my 3 free-day leadership challenge. So I do 3 days of training with you. It's really excellent. It's a great chance to kind of step in and get clear about what we talked about today. And you can also reach me at Laura@leadershipwithlaura.com. I'm on IG and Facebook and all the social media. So please connect with me. I love to chat more with you and hear about more about what you do. And I'm excited about that.
Oh my gosh, absolutely. And we were so excited to have you to add value to us today. Again, hit that like button, hit the subscribe button, get those comments written in there. We're going to respond to you and find out those places that Laura is hanging out. Laura, thank you so much.
My pleasure, Kimberly. I'm so excited for what you offer people. You're just a very special person, and I'm honored to be here today.
Thank you so much.